There's no like freedom like for players just to express themselves. Basically what they're doing is, in my opinion, stripping away all characters from football. You can't tackle hard, so there's no more like Roy Keanes, Robbie Savages, annoying players that we love to hate. People used to make careers from that, and I like that. I like when people smash me because it gets me like going. I'm like, okay, let's see what's going on. No one really does skills anymore. Like someone does a step over, I was like, oh, that was normal back in the day, and it feels like they're kind of taken away from everything. Now they're talking about all these other rules, 60-minute games and this and that. It's becoming a gentleman's sport instead of a street sport.
What's going on, beautiful people? Welcome back to another episode of the After You cast. Sat down with somebody I've been meaning to sit down for a long time, and we're here now. So I'm looking forward to getting into this conversation. This is going to be a really good one for a lot of different types of people, from young athletes, from creatives, from people that are in tune in the mind. So I'm always trying to bring people onto the platform that can open some people's eyes and also, provide some insight. We're always about real stories. So without further ado, please introduce yourself to the people.
I'm Joshua Parker, I'm a professional athlete and many other things, but we'll go with that for now.
I like that. Keep it simple, keep it brief, but man, he's underselling himself a little bit, man. My guy is, we're talking about an international footballer, professional, played in multiple leagues across the UK, and also one thing I really appreciate about you, Josh, is when you look at your career and everything that you've kind of created, what stands out to me is the character. Do you know what I mean? Like a lot of times we see footballers and we kind of they get thrown into a box of like who they are, but I think what's really good about your career and your let's say experiences is that now you've kind of got a holistic approach, and you can see it in the content you put out, your mindset, the food, everything about like your whole image is all based in and around like professionalism at a high level. So that's something that really stands out, and I think that a lot of people will be able to appreciate. So let's jump straight into it, because it's always good to kind of get that origin story and talk about how you got into the beautiful game. So yeah, kick it off. Just let us know how you got into football.
It's funny because I don't even remember playing football like young. Most people like remember kicking around with their dad or grandfather. I don't remember it. I literally it's almost like I was just plonked into football, and I was always there, if you get what I mean. But my mum described it to me that we was on our way to somewhere. We was going past a chicken ranch in Slough, and she said that I poked my head out the window and was watching the football that was going on. I said I wanted to play, but I think I was 6 at the time, and they only had an under-8s team. So the next week she took me down, and I was playing with the under-8s from then, obviously getting bullied about. As you do. And then from there, it was just, I think from like when you're from a lower class background, that's kind of like, it's a strange. It's like your love language, like between you and your boys. It's like you're my boy because you love football.
Facts.
So that just became the thing where, as you know, you'll come home from school, won't even get changed out your school clothes, and probably get in trouble for it, and go and kick ball, get your trousers dirty, and everything was about football, just football. But it was more so of the competitiveness, like because we was in a competitive environment, so it's just a way to run around, tackle, get into like a little scrap, and that excitement of scoring a goal. I think it's like I said, it's like football is a street sport, so it's like the love language of the street.
No, that's deep. And when I think about my experience, it's very similar as well. It's just like you said, it was a street game, and like just throwing together 2 jumpers to put together goals. You know what I mean? Like,
what's funny about that? When someone would kick the ball too high, you're like, that's over. There's no crossbar. Like there's no goal. It's like, no, why that high? Like
invisible crossbars. Like that's how much the mind is. It's deep. But like, no, that's deep. I never looked at it like that. in terms of like a love language for, especially for young black boys and boys in that working class environment who get into football. It's like one of those things like, oh, you kick ball, okay, all right, cool, and then it's something that bridges two different people that maybe are from two different places.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, it's funny. Like, so I look at my son now. Sometimes he just started to get into football, not through me pushing him, but just got into it. You would go up to kids if they're in football and be like, "Can I play?" You wouldn't ask their name. You don't care about their name. Just like, "Can I play football with you?" And it's like, "Yeah, cool." And then all of a sudden, your friends, you'll go over to your parents and be like, "That's my friend. What's his name?" "I don't know, but we're playing football together."
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, that's deep. That is deep. So, from the origins, you say that it was just like from the streets. What made you realise, or what was a day or time period that you thought, yeah, like I'm starting to take this more seriously, and I'm maybe separating away from just like kicking ball for fun?
I don't think there was ever a period of time where I actually thought like, I always knew I wanted to be a footballer because it's just what I enjoy doing, but I never kind of thought about the pro side of it or the academies. I just played football and I knew I was good because I'd always hear people like talking about me and stuff like this, and my mum would always like mention like, oh, this club wants you to go and train. I'll be like, no, I want to play with my friends. My mum used to have a black book and it had every scout's number in it, for, like, that wanted my mum to contact them about me going to train with them, but I never wanted to because I just wanted to play with my friends. And say for example there was a final, like I remember there was a referee back in the day and he was old at that point, so he might not still be here, but he was like a scout for Fulham. And he'd always like pull me after the game and like speak to me and say like, oh, you need to come, and I was like, no, I just like playing with my friends. But for me, I never like kind of,
you didn't see it as like a big thing.
Yeah, for me football was just football. But back in the day I used to wear a bandana when I used to play. Like, I don't know why, I don't know where it came from. I don't know where, everyone like used to say like, oh, make sure you mark the boy in the bandana, and I just knew I was good because I'd score like a stupid amount of goals a season. Like, do you know when it's just not even normal, like 80 goals in like 20 games, and this is all the way up to like 15, 16, I was still doing it. But I had a brief spell at Wickham for like 2 years. And I didn't enjoy it one bit. No, like I didn't like being, not so much told what to do, but I didn't like being restricted. I just wanted to play. I just wanted to run around, score goals. And when someone's telling you, and it wasn't even like so much a coaching, like do this, do that. It's just like, I felt like I was being limited. If I wanted to do a skill, I don't do that. You know when they're taking away that rawness from you.
I know exactly what you mean.
And after 2 years, like, I kind of went into a bit of a lull. Like I stopped playing as much outside.
What age was this as well? Just
12, 13.
12, 13, cool. So just kind of adolescence years.
Yeah, like I'm already going through like hormonal changes. Like I was a bit, like I was short, but I was still rapid. I was like 5'2", like a bit chubby. Hadn't gone through my growth spurt yet, and I was just like, I don't even know if I really love football anymore, because it made me kind of not like it. At that point, I turned to dance for a good 3-4 years. And I just went back to playing with my friends. I was like, Mum, I want to go and play with my friends. That's when I went and played for Slough with Tony. And I was there till I was 16, and even in every season I was just still doing a madness, but I wasn't taking it that serious. If it wasn't for Tony saying, oh, QPR want you to go and train with them, I would have just carried on, but like just playing, if you got me. I wasn't going like, I need to make it pro, I need to go and train at this team. I was just scoring goals and just playing football and just enjoying it.
So it's kind of something like it's like the freedom.
Yeah, it's that freedom of expression. I think that's why, in a sense of things, I'm almost glad that by the time I get to the end of my career in the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years, however long it may be, I'm glad that I'm coming out of it in the period that I am, because I feel like football's no longer the sport that I know it as. There's no like freedom for players now. Everything's very tactical. Like it's funny because I was watching Soccer AM yesterday, and I was watching a skill show, the showboat bit, and I was like, this is the worst. Back in when I was a kid, the skills that I used to see, I used to see people rolling on their shoulders, triple step overs, dropping people on the floor. Now I'm seeing back heels. The whole thing was back heels. Everyone could do a back heel. Like there's no like freedom like for players just to express themselves. It's like, oh, just keep it simple, pass it, and your movement, let the ball. But we like football for the entertainment purpose, and now you basically what they're doing is, in my opinion, stripping away all characters from football. You can't tackle hard, so there's no more like Roy Keanes, Robbie Savages, annoying players that we love to hate. We like them there, but
we love them on our team.
We love them on our team, but we hate them on the other team. But you appreciate what they do. So you can't be a hard tackler. People used to make careers from that, and I like that. I like when people smash me because it gets me like going. I'm like, okay, let's see what's going on. No one really does skills anymore. Like, if someone does a step over, I was like, oh, that was normal back in the day.
Exactly.
Like,
it's true.
And it feels like they're kind of taken away from everything. Now they're talking about all these other rules, 60-minute games and this and that. It's becoming a gentleman's sport instead of a street sport.
I was having this conversation as well the other day. It's funny you say that with one of my close friends, and I was just talking about, like, I feel like the technical detail in football has reduced because of the physical excellence is now. You know what I mean? Like they'll almost take a player now that is rapid and can just move man out of the way, but as opposed to a player that maybe doesn't have that physical attribute then, but maybe they're a bit more better with their distribution, they're better at passing, got a better range of pass.
That's why nowadays people get super excited about a Mahrez or a Diaz. I'm like, if you go 10 years back,
wingers,
they were like, compared to the wingers 10 years ago, they're on average.
Well, Ryan Giggs era.
Like that's what it's like.
Watch those guys, just you had to. It was like, if you didn't get down the wing, if you couldn't beat a guy with a bit of skill and get down the wing, it was like
now it's not. Nowadays wingers are like, tend to be like almost up there with the top scorers. Because it's about position, get in the box.
Inverted too as well. So a lot of inverted. Everyone, it's like there's no right-footed right wingers anymore. Vice versa.
Come in and shoot.
No, that's a great point. I think that that is definitely brought down. I think it's generational as well. So I don't want to make it all doom and gloom. They're killing the game and all that. No, I definitely think there are improvements that have been made as well. But to the point of the football itself, I think there has been a bit of a reduction in the overall quality for entertainment value, quick paced, high paced things, and then talking about this potential 60-minute thing, it's like goes to show even more what they're kind of leading towards. So so let's talk a little bit, like, so once you got in and you was at, let's say, QPR, you went down, I'm sure Tony gave you that little eye, and how did that experience start or work at QPR?
So this is where I can kind of appreciate my experience at Wickham, because I already knew how the setup went, like the kind of drills they did, what they liked from people. They like people to be vocal and say, yes, give me the ball, checking shoulders. They like you to be kind of over extra. So I was already kind of doing those things that when I was playing with my Sunday league team, I wasn't really doing. I just kind of, but I knew what they wanted to see. And when I felt not accepted, because obviously when you go into those change rooms, I always say going into change rooms is the worst experience ever, because everyone's kind of a bit anal towards you. They're like, won't really say hello, they're kind of just like all whisper amongst themselves. No one really wants to say, oh, you're right. Like, so I go out of my way to do that on purpose now, where I'm like, I'm very welcoming of anyone that comes in. So already you're nervous because people were like, I'm going to look after my friend because he plays in the same position as him, so I'm not going to be nice to him. I'm going to smash him in training. But then I remember, like, it was almost like the stars were aligned. So at that time at QPR, they had Raheem there training up with the 16s, even though he was like 13 or whatever he was. No, he was 12. He was 12 when he was training 16s, and then they had Dean Parrott, who went from QPR to Tottenham. It was like one of the biggest fees for under 16, I think like 2 million or something like that.
Yeah, it's a big move.
And they lined us up on the 6-yard box and made us do a race to the halfway line and back. And everyone was, their manager was like, and his name's Steve Gallen, he's the Charlton sport director now, I think. And he was like, I've heard you're quick. I'll be surprised if you can beat Dean and Elliot will give you a good race as well. And Elliot's a good friend now. It's like we're on the thing, and I'm actually getting nervous. So like, I'm fast, but
pressure's on a little
he's
bit.
actually like put it all on me, like in front of everyone, and they already probably don't like me. So then he sets us off, boom, we're running, and Dean's staying with me the whole way. And I've never, like, at that point, I've never seen anyone as quick as me. So I like we get to the halfway line, and like we touch and I turn, and I'm like I just go into literally overdrive and I leave it.
You're just like, I got
literally like you start like pumping or whatever, and I beat him. Like that's when I kind of knew that I was like welcome, because I'd stamped my authority by showing it, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, you stepped up to the plate, essentially.
So then after that I just felt comfortable. After that they were all like talking to me, and it becomes like more of a, so like I want to know about you now, because you've shown us that you're serious. And to be fair, I was training there a long time, because it was around the time that they were giving away scholarships.
Okay, yeah.
So I come in like at the back end of the season, and I think I didn't have enough time to play any games. So what they made me do is they can maybe come back in pre-season and train with the now scholars who were under 16s.
Yeah.
And I went on tour to Germany with them, and then I signed my scholarship literally when I came back.
Okay. Yeah, so that was like the inception. Where you was kind of
like, and the mad thing is, someone asked me this a couple of weeks ago, and they were like, "Were you? How did you feel when you signed it?" I was like, I didn't really feel anything. I wasn't even like over the moon, because it was almost like I'm here. Like I already knew that I was like levels, if you got me.
Yeah. No, you know what? It's really cool as well to think of, because my experience coming up through the academy system, I say this a lot to a few people, is it's very different when you're, I wouldn't say groomed, but brought through from a young age. Because I got snapped up at 8. Okay.
So
I was gone from Langley Lions. Obviously Tony.
Langley Lions, what a team.
Langley Lions, shout out. That just brings me back memories, man. But when you bring up Tony, it's crazy to think that like Tony's had like a connection and an influence on both of our lives at some stage, because you know him and Lawrence back in the early days, he was the one who saw me at school, had conversations with my dad and stuff like that, and there was like a little hub of players from Slough that we knew were players. Like yourself was in there, and Billy Clifford, Michael Creamer. Like there was a couple of other guys that went off to other different clubs and stuff, and way more as well. If I'm not mentioning, but I remember Tony specifically like being a bit of an influence around that sort of time as well. When I left and went on from Langley and then went on to Watford, but going through year by year by year, there's it's crazy, because it's difficult already. Like you just mentioned, you come in, you got to deal with like players not really knowing about you, not really playing in their position, all of that stuff. But when you go year by year by year, I knew what it was. So the anticipation and the anxiety build up of being like, all right, cool, I'm still here. All right, cool, it'll be exciting. All right, cool, I'm still. All right, then you get up to YTS years, and it's like, all right, cool, I'm getting a score. Oh, okay, and then you're like, perking up now, and then you're like, yeah, I'm about to. And that was what I think was the hardest thing when I didn't get the yes, because you built up everything, and everything had been pretty much a yes up to that point from the age of 9.
And that's what I'm saying. Usually, when that's the case, you're usually like, there's something about you, and everyone knows about you because you've been around that long. Yeah. So you almost feel like you have those nerves, I'm guessing, but you almost feel like I'm almost entitled to it, because like I've been here like 10 years. Exactly. I've been here longer than the pros. Yeah, exactly. And then it kind of messes with your head a little bit, because it isn't the right way to approach it, but it's natural. It's natural when you've been in there for so long and you've gone through all of that. I think it's something that it's not really explained as well, and kids don't get opportunities to sit down and be like, look, all right, cool, you've been in this environment, but don't let that overstep or overthink, where you actually are. Because I know a lot of young players who have kind of come in at that high level, top prospects, all that sort of stuff, and then 5 years in to... It happens a lot, I think, when people are top prospects and they kind of not fall off. Fall off's not the right word, but they kind of are pushed to one side, almost taken for granted. Happens a lot. I'd be interested not to know why, because everyone has their own like things that go on, but I don't see how you go from being a top prospect to not, unless there's something that changes either in your mentality, which is a very rare thing, or something changes within the setup more often than not, like the style or it's a strange one.
Yeah, I'd say from my perspective, where I've gone into, like, obviously when I went to America, transitioned into another field.
How old was you when you went to America?
I was 18, so it was right after, and that's the thing, it happened so quickly for me, because it was just like, they said no, went to the exit trials, didn't really feel that I could about many of the options, and I thought, you know what, it traces back to something a coach told me when I was in under 13s, and they always said, and this is something that played in the back of my mind, they said that you're intelligent and you can do other things. And that was a little bit of one of the, I wouldn't say excuses, but one of the reasons for why it was talked about as why I maybe didn't do it. And when I look at how I've travelled into life and the different experiences and things I've had, I definitely wouldn't take away any of them. So maybe there was a reasoning for I could do other things, and maybe football wasn't the only thing for me personally.
It's interesting because now at the age you are now, that statement stuck in your head, so that could, not so much a trauma, but when someone kind of says that to you, it makes you really second guess your capabilities. It's quite a damaging thing to say to someone. You're really smart, it's really belittling. And the fact that you still remember that now could be a huge factor in why it might not have gone that way. Obviously we'll never know, but someone to say that and for it to stick with you says that it actually hurt at the time.
Definitely, 100%.
And it's the thing you can't really coach young kids, the fact that different people are going to have different opinions, and he might have just been an absolute whatever. But then the next manager will come and say, you're the dog's dangles. Do you know what I mean? Be like, you are good. But this is football. Football's savage. Football owes it doesn't do anyone any favours. It doesn't owe anyone anything.
Absolutely. I agree with that. So switching back, QPR, you got in, you're training in and around big name individuals. You see it like Raheem. You're now into the game. What are the next steps after that? Because I know one thing that you talked about already is, I just mentioned a minute ago, the changing room environment, the personalities, the characters you have to kind of work around, maybe some of the politics as well. What were some of the real hardest challenges you realised as playing as a professional footballer?
I think the youth team thing is really savage. Obviously, I'm not a youth team player anymore. I don't really speak to any youth team boys. I think it's a lot more friendly now, I think, but back in the day youth teams were quite brutal places. Yes, very savage. And I remember I'm one of these people that I can accept it now as a man, that I'm a bit like Marmite, where you either love or hate me, not because of how I am as a person, but because of my views and how the things I'm into. And people are like, that's a bit weird. So
they can't get past that.
Because they might feel intimidated or threatened. When people get intimidated or threatened, they'll find a way to kind of tarnish you. And I remember the second years always tried to get onto me, get a bite out of me. And me being me, I would always bite. Become confrontational or whatever. But it's just because I was different and they were all the same. So naturally, in any environment, when you get the one kind of odd job or someone who's different, they all kind of target that. It's like they're like a pack of hyenas and you're like a lion. Do you know what I mean? And they're like, and you're just
nipping at you.
And you're just no, you can't get to me like that. I'm gonna give as good as I get. That was one of the things that got on my nerves a bit, as a first year. But my first year was a bit brutal because I was in the gym one day and I was stretching, and I was kind of in when you've got your knee on the floor and you've got your leg straight out, stretching your hamstring. And I've leant forward too far, and this is how freakishly weird it was. I literally tore my hamstring almost off the bone. Wow. Yeah, I just felt like my body dropped a little bit and jerked, and I was kind of caught my breath. And I went to get up to walk and I just had a mad pain, but right at the top, almost by my glute. So I was hobbling into the physio, and I was I just was stretching, and I felt a crazy feeling, and the physios back in them days, hating all youth team players, they're just get out of it. And I was no, I'm in really bad pain. So literally lays me on the bed, tries to lift up my leg, and it gets to literally 6 inches. I was in the worst pain ever. And for a scan, literally my hamstring, my groin actually, right at the top, was hanging on by a thread. So basically a grade 3, but they classed it as a grade 2 because it's not completely off the bone. So literally my whole first year I was out. I was out, and there was another guy that was injured, a guy called James Folks, and we literally for the year was in the gym every day, banging out gym. I'd never been in the gym before.
So that was your introduction.
That was my introduction as well. Gym life, injured life. I was this is brutal, and I'm obviously watching the players and people are doing well, and people just don't. You understand that people don't care, and they're not obliged to care. But it did me good. It did me a lot of good because kind of made me hungry again. It allowed me to detach from all them lot winding me up or winding up the first years as they do. And then when I came back in my second year, I was just on stuff. I was just I just knew, obviously, it's your final year. You didn't play the whole first year, so you haven't even made a stamp or any mark.
Yeah.
It's kind of like now or never. But I never had like no nerves about getting a pro. I just knew I just needed to get on the field.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's probably part and parcel, I think, of the mentality as well. That helps foster that. Is that you kind of already came in with that freedom mentality of like, I'm here to play football, I'm here to improve my game and enjoy the game. So I think he was able to have somewhat of a protection around yourself of when those things come in. It's like, here's what it is. Maybe I'll confront you here or there, but I know ultimately what I'm here for. And I think that's what a lot of footballers get lost in. 100%. They get lost in the money, they get lost in the lifestyle, they get lost in, oh yeah, I'm here, I'm doing that, but yeah, no, that's really centering. You know, that's great advice again for other people out there. So obviously, okay, so let's flip to positives. Let's talk about one of the one or two greatest achievements you'd say in your career. Things that you enjoyed the most, moments, that sort of thing.
It's hard to limit to 3. I'll probably say there's 4 or 5. So obviously my debut, like, because it's the thing that you always like aspire. Like, obviously getting a professional contract is cool, but you're not really a professional until you make a debut. Like, if someone asks you what you do, you go, yeah, I'm a professional footballer. You got a contract, but you haven't played no games. Someone said to me once, you're not a professional footballer until you played over 100 games, because at any moment you can drop out of the league and be done with. So making my debut, that was a mad experience, because a month before I made my debut, I went on loan to AFC Wimbledon, and like, trouble always finds me, or I find trouble, whichever way you want to call it. I don't purposely go and look for it. I'm just myself, and I always say I treat people with the utmost respect. I'm very polite and stuff like that, but if someone tries to belittle me, I'm not gonna have it, because you're not better than me. You're a human being. You might have more power than me. How you want to use your power is cool. Like, do whatever you want. But
like respect.
Yeah, it's just a respect thing. I went alone to AFC Wimbledon. We was traveling for a game, and obviously I'm thinking, in my mind, I'm partly thinking, I'm the big lad. I'm going on loan to Conference Prem at the time. But I realised there's actually some good players here. Like I was like, some of these boys are good. And obviously, he was getting used to like the physicality and stuff like this. And we went to a game, and we had to meet somewhere at like 5 a.m. And I must have been, how old was I? 19. And all the players are like in the service station buying sweets and Lucozades and Red Bulls, and me, I buy a chicken sandwich from Burger King. These times I was a vegan. That's it. I don't get chips, just the chicken burger. Go on the bus. There's sweets on the table and everything like this, and people are just yamming at 6 o'clock in. Put my burger down, and I think I forgot my jumper in there. Went back in, come back, my burger's gone. I'm like, what's going on here? And I'm like, who's got my burger? And obviously, they're probably, like I said, when you go to a new environment, it's like compulsory that everyone's not supposed to like you. It's almost like standard. And one of them said, the manager's got it. So I'm like, okay. So I walked down, I was like, the player said, you got my burger? And he was like, yeah, like, what the F are you doing? Like, you got a chicken burger, And I was like, it's a chicken burger. They've all got sweets in there, eating them right now, and there's sweets on the table, and they're drinking Red Bulls. And you're moaning about my chicken burger. And then like we had like a bit of a back and forth. And we was on our way to Oxford, to be fair.
Okay, cool.
So then get to Oxford, it's an evening game, and he drops me from the squad completely. So I'm sat in the stadium, like at the top, watching this game. Come to the change room after they got pumped like 4-0. Can change room, and the manager's like, you're in tomorrow. He gets to me, and this is where like my kind of street side comes out and my defensive side. When he went to point to me, I was like, don't point at me, I won't be here tomorrow. Went back to QPR. I was like, don't point at me, I'm not in tomorrow. Go back to QPR. He's like, what do you mean? I was like, I'm not coming back. And I went back, and then went back to QPR. Warnock came in. Played like maybe 2 or 3 games in the Resis. And then I remember one day his like right hand man, his name was Mick, I think, pulled me into like an empty change room and was like, I really like you, like you're a very good player. I've told the manager that I think you should be in the squad this weekend. I was like, in my head I was like, oh my god. Like, I had butterflies, my legs were shaking. You know when you get told off and your legs are trembling, but they're not actually moving. I was like trying to stay calm. I was like, okay. He's like, I'm gonna speak to him, see what he says, but just keep on doing what you're doing. So So I came out there, like I was walking down the hallway and my legs were like buckling.
Yeah.
So then, literally that weekend, travelled with the first team, went to Crystal Palace, which was Neil Warnock's old team. And he brought me on for like the last 5 minutes. I remember when I stood on when he said, "Josh, get your kit on." And you know what Warnock's like? He's like rude, like if you're not ready, like he's on you. So he's like, "Well, come on, show me that fucking beat."
Yeah, exactly.
That's my language. He's like, "Yeah, do you not want to play?" It's like quickly chuck on everything, and then come on for the last 5 minutes. Then I remember on the sideline, he was like, "When you get the ball, run. You're fast. Just run as fast as you can." I remember
old school managers.
And there was obviously Palace, like there was like 5 games left of the season. And the stadium was jumping. So like I literally got the ball and I just kicked it and I ran the whole length of the pitch and then someone tapped me. I won a throw and I was buzzing. So like that was my debut. So that would definitely be up there. Antigua, like my first game for Antigua, getting called up for Antigua.
That must be special.
It's the best thing ever. Like, obviously some people will be like, "Oh, it's a small island," but it's just playing for your country is nothing more like rewarding than playing for your country and captaining my country. So I put them 2 in 1.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Because I remember at the time when I got told I was going to captain them, I was in Serbia with Red Star.
Okay.
And I was in a restaurant with my missus and my mum. The coach called me and was like, "I want you to captain my side." I was like, "What?" So then I was a captain.
That's a big moment.
So I'd say debut, captain and playing for Antigua, signing for Red Star, because obviously it's one of the biggest teams in European history.
Yeah, man. That's a big step.
I was thinking I come from Brookwell, Slough,
jeez,
and I'm at Red Star, Belgrade, like 80,000 fans, like it's just.
Been at yourself.
And the year before, the mad thing, this is how mad football is, and how when people say, "Oh, it can change overnight," it can, but it's just people's perception of you and how people are willing to take you. Some managers just won't have time for you. But a year before that, I was getting told by Oxford in League 2 that I'm a really good player, but I'm too young, and they want an experienced squad to go for promotion next year. And I'm like, how can you say I'm really good, but then say I'm not old enough, what's age got to do with anything? That's when I actually said to my agent, I need to get out of this country, like I need to go somewhere else. So getting bought by Red Star is definitely up there. And then the other 2, I'd say my 2 promotions, which were obviously back to back with Charlton and Wickham. Those 5 things, because that for me is, I've ticked off everything off my list. The only thing that I've got left on my list that I want to achieve before I retire is go to Gold Cup for Antigua. Because they never qualified for a major competition, and in reality they shouldn't, because you've got a country with 90,000 people.
That's what I was going to say. That's about 100.
I always say to people are like, "Oh, that's not a lot." No, you're not deep in how little it is. If you put everyone from Antigua in Old Trafford, the whole place is empty. The whole of Antigua is empty.
Literally.
That's how small it is.
That's mad.
So we should never go to a major competition.
There's what, 300,000 people in Slough?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's like so like that's the last thing that I've always wanted to achieve on like my bucket list. I'll get it. I know I'll get it.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, those 5 things for me. Because I always say, if you were to ask 6-year-old me what I want to do, be a professional footballer, done it. Make my debut, done it. Experience promotion, done it. Get bought for a lot of money, done it. And play at Wembley, done it. So I've done everything that I would have asked of the 6-year-old me.
The
only thing, maybe play in the Premier League, like of course that's the dream. But
as a professional footballer,
it's just football for me is just football. Those 5 things definitely.
That's heavy.
Everything.
That is heavy. So let's talk a little bit about the opportunity to go to Red Star. I mean, boy, what was that like?
It was a mad one, because so basically when that thing happened with Oxford, I said to my agent, and I don't even know where it came from, that I need to get out of this country. Like you'll know, and you know enough footballers that it's easy in England to get roped into the lifestyle, but not because you want the lifestyle, it's because it's what everyone expects of you. So like when people hear you're a professional footballer, even as a first year pro, they don't realise that you're on like 300 quid a week, 200 quid a week, 400 quid a week, 500 quid a week. And there's that kind of emphasis on, oh, you got loads of money, you should have, why are you not driving a Mercedes? Oh, when we go out, you got this, like you're rich, like it's almost like you feel obliged, and you live up to that, but you're scrambling.
Most of the time.
And obviously at this point I was like 21, and I I had to my agent, I need to get out of this country. I need to get back to focusing on football without no distractions, no girls, no wanting to go to nightclubs, no need to drive a nice car because no one's going to see me, and those who want to see me, they'll contact me. So he's like, where do you want to go? I was like, I don't care. And then a couple of weeks later, he was like, would you go to Slovenia? I was like, I don't even know where that is. It sounds cold though. And he was like, the contract's on the table, but you can go out and train for 2 weeks and see if you like it.
Okay.
Fly out there, train for 2 weeks. It was hot.
Yeah.
Hot, like stupid hot. I went out there in May.
Okay, yeah.
And it was like 30 degrees.
Wow.
And because in Europe, most of the leagues tend to have a 2-week window and just go into back-to-back seasons and have a winter break.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, I like it here. So signed there, was there for I think 18 months. At times going through some drama with my ex-partner, like breaking up with her while we was there and stuff like that. So that wasn't ideal, but I literally said to myself, the first 6 months was terrible because we had a Serbian manager, and I've still never come across a manager as wild as this one. He would have us do drills like, say for example, we was playing 4-4-2. He'd have us tie our arms together and move, like the flipping table football, like literally, and you'd have to tie it, and he'd get set up another 11 to try and play through us, and we're moving with ropes.
Wow.
I'm just like, what have I got myself into? And I remember one training session, this is me being just a bit ruthless. I played the game a bit better now. In one training session, I tried to play a ball to someone's feet that I've turned on the halfway line, tried to wrap it in someone's feet, and it's missed them. Like I think the defender cut it out, and he's like, pull me, but couldn't speak English. He had a translator. The assistant coach spoke 5 languages. And he's like, basically, he wants you to. He said, next time, just spin it down the side. Then once, and I'm like. He's like, do you understand? And this is triggering me. And it's like, do you, like he said in English though, he said to me, do you understand? I'm like, tell him I'm trying to be a better football player. Would someone like Wayne Rooney or someone that I aspire to be like, just put it down the line? He's like, and I just said, he don't care. Next time, spin it down the line. You either agree with him or you go in.
Oh Lord.
Gave my bib and walked in. Then he like left me out the squad for like a good month. But obviously they made a big deal of signing me. Like they were like this is what we need. So then after a month he got sacked and the assistant coach took over, and he understood like he'd played abroad in different countries.
He understands.
And he like kind of took the time to like put his arm around me. And as soon as he took over,
man management.
Like I was literally on stuff. So like I was there for another year after that. And I was just scoring, assisting, like I was on fire. And there's 2 teams that kind of win that league every year. There's Olympia and Maribor, and both of them tend to play Europa League or Champions League a lot of the time. They both wanted me. Then I had Red Star. Then I had Sturm Graz, which is in Switzerland or something like that. And then I had a team in China. But this was before anyone was going to China. Because when I went abroad, no one was playing abroad, unless it's like a Michael Owen to Madrid. No one from Champ down was going abroad.
Definitely not Champ down.
Prem. It was Prem to a bigger team. It was like Woodgate to Madrid, Beckham to Madrid. No one was going abroad. And I remember the sport director pulled me up, and they were like, oh, he wants to speak to you. So I went upstairs, and there was some Chinese brother just sat there with a briefcase. And I was thinking, like, what am I in trouble for? Because me and the director didn't get along. He's like, oh, this is he's from this team. The chairman of his team, the owner, came and watched. He came the other day and they said they want to sign you. And I was like, I didn't know what to think or say, because like I said, I just come from Oxford a year ago, and now I've got someone saying that they want me to go to China and all this stuff.
Big jump.
And then he was like, would you be interested? I'm like, well, yeah, probably. Like, I don't know. And he was like, oh, I don't mind speaking about money. He was like, their first offer is 400 grand net. So I'm like, obviously net is tax free, so that's like 800 bags a year. I was like, in my head I was like, oh my god, I've made it. And they were like, and I was like, the only problem is, and I'm trying to stay calm, the only problem is I've got my son, and me and his mum are broken up, and obviously I need to see him, and China's a fair old way away. And he was like, well, how about we'll pay for 2 first class tickets per year for her to come out, and obviously the rest you can cover. I was like, oh my God, he's saying everything that I wanted to say. I'm just saying, I was like, okay, I'm going to speak to my agent. I remember I came out the hallway, closed the door. I was crip walking down the hallway. I swear to you, I was dancing all the way down the hallway, running down the stairs, messaging my agent. He was like, all right. I remember I sent a message to my now ex-partner saying, I've had an offer from China, this is what they've said. I'll be more than happy to like fly you out if you want to come out with your friends just so I can see your son. No, full stop. That locked off that one. I even ended up messaging her dad and everything, trying to explain it to him, like just didn't go anywhere. But then obviously for money that was the best, but then Red Star in terms of magnitude and potentiality to go elsewhere, like trumped everywhere, and it was closer to home than Slovenia. Slovenia was only like an hour 45 flight. Okay. Serbia was like hour 50. So I was like, Red Star it is, and then ended up going there. But like I didn't, because it's
a culture shock.
Yeah, but because it's a couple of generations before us. Like when we was born is when they were winning Champions League.
Okay, yeah.
Like 91, 92, 93, 94, whatever it was. My agent was like, do you know about Red Star? I was like, no, not really. He was like, you need to research like the magnitude of this club. He's like, ask your granddad or ask your like anyone that's like parents' age. So that's my granddad. He was like, that is a massive club. Like when Yugoslavia were winning World Cups, like,
wow, yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
I know what you mean, like a different time period.
Yeah, like it's like teams. They were big before there was the war in the 90s. Like Red Star were the team.
Wow. Yeah.
My agent was like, you're not really deep in like the level of the club, and I was like, how am I supposed to? I can't. I don't watch Serbian football. I don't know about Serbia. And he was like, when you go there, you'll be like Ronaldo. And I'm like laughing in his face to me and my agent. Cool. I'm like, you're chatting waffle. He's like, no, you'll be like Beckham. Like, and all these like big stars and like whatever. So we end up flying to Serbia. I remember I came out the airport. When I say to you, there's like 100 cameramen, and it was like just bare flashing. I was like, wow. My agent was like, I told you. It's like literally like it's like someone like ushering me. I don't even know who he is. Like ushering me through the like cameras, and they're all snapping me. Put me in some like big like ass Mercedes and like drive me off to like some restaurant to sit down with the director. And like he's like, I told you. He's laughing his head off. And I'm like, no, this is too mad. Then we go to like, obviously in England, you don't do no press conferences. I was like, bro, they had me at a press conference with like 40 people sat in front of me, like asking me all types of mad questions, awkward questions.
About to get to the stadium, do some kick-ups.
Yeah, like all that stuff. And I'm sat at like this big desk and I have to take a picture holding my shirt and all this stuff. And I'm like, this is wild.
But that reminded you how big of a club they actually were. In the flesh.
Like, it was just huge. Like,
but that's eye-opening as well, because I mean, like, I didn't obviously get the opportunity to play at the professional level like that, but I'd say one great experience for me was getting to go over to America after getting told no, because it was, like you said, a lot of people are uncomfortable wanting to make that move or don't have the discipline to actually see it through. So like when I went, I mean, my experience in America playing throughout the uni college system but still playing, it was just a great dynamic of meeting people that have a different mindset, because it further opens you also to what you can and can't do. But yeah, you still get into
I still now say to young kids, like, if you're not playing or you think you're not going to get a contract or you're just not happy, go abroad. A lot of them ain't got the minerals to do it. They can't step away because they like their comfort, and they'd rather go and potentially go and play in Conference South and try and slug it out, and then they'll be like, oh, this isn't my style of football. Go abroad, because when you go abroad, they automatically appreciate you a little bit more because you're English. Like they put you on a pedestal from the jump. Obviously, that's for you to then back that up. But it allows you to stay in that professional environment and not get caught up in like the madness or distracted or get sloppy. And the quality of football is so good, honestly. Now, when I was in Serbia and Slovenia, it's literally like Italian football. Very, very tactical, very technical, like extremely technical. Like when I went to Slovenia, it changed my whole game to the point where I'm appreciative of it now, but a lot of people when I came back from there didn't recognise me and were like a bit like, ooh, like he's like this now. Like whereas back in the day, I'd get the ball and I'd front you up, and once I'm gonna drop my shoulder and go past you, and you're not gonna catch me. Whereas when I went there, because they played deep lines and stuff like that, there's no space in behind. I was having to then think.
Yeah, you got to think differently.
You got to think differently.
There's no room to.
It's like about movement, getting into pockets, turning, 1-2s, all this stuff, and it changed my whole game. Like it changed everything. So,
yeah, I mean, I can imagine like just getting to experience a different style of football from the UK, because the British style of football, as we know, is a bit of a machine gun football. It's a bit like it's high pace, high intensity, loud, in your face, and you almost like it's a war of attrition. It's almost like we want to just like grind you down until you give up, and then put our foots on your neck and then win the game. It's like there isn't really it sounds nice when you say you can draw games and you can get, walk away with a 1-1 or a 2-2, but the battle that exists within that, or even before the game begins, there's so much man hours and so much time that gets invested into honing your craft. So I can definitely appreciate how that would open your mind going somewhere internationally and bringing that back here. So like what was the reception like when you come back? Because I know when you're kind of away from the UK system, one thing I realised is that like you fall out of conversations, relationships kind of change.
Because of the manner that I left Red Star, because we had like a fallout, and then like them countries are funny with money. Like if like you have a fallout, they'll not pay you and stuff like that. So I had like all types of drama. That's a very long story.
We can do that.
So obviously, I came back, and I remember I went and trained at Gillingham just because they like asked if I was back because they got wind, and I went and played in a game. And it's funny because even though I'd spoken to the players before the game in this like friendly behind closed door game, they knew I had an English accent, but for some reason they didn't think I was from England. It was mad, honestly. Like I speak to them normal, and they're like, "Where do you come from?" Like Red Star Belgrade, and they're thinking, "Oh, he's not from this country." But I'm like, I speak like you. So then, like I played this game here. We played Leighton Orient behind closed doors, and I scored a hat trick and set up 2. And then all the players were like, "Oh, you're so good." Manager went, "No, we've got enough minutes." My agent was like, "You asked him to come here. We didn't ask him to come to you. You asked him to come." And they were like, "Nah." I was like, "I know I'm back in England now." Like the politics. Lo and behold, after that game, that's when I had a court case with Red Star that went on for like a year. So for like 9 months, and I couldn't pay for 9 months. So I started working in the coffee shop with Tony. So I had no income. My new partner had our daughter on the way. So I had no income. I was working at a coffee shop in Willesden Green. And I was like, I'm done with football. Like, this is too much for me. Like, it's too stressful. And because of the fact that I'm not willing to be a yes man or like brown nose someone, I'm always going to be polite, respectful, but if you're ever rude to me, I'm going to be rude back. I was like, I'm done. So then 9 months later, Tony and my agent came into the coffee shop one night, closed up, and they were just like, "Is this like what you want to do with your talent?" I was like, "I don't really care." Like, when you get defensive because people are trying to help you, but it's uncomfortable, especially as men. Like, we don't like to be told stuff.
It's true. We like to take ownership of it. Or
we like just say nothing. I'll deal with it myself. I was like, I just don't care. I don't have the love for it anymore. And they were like, "Well, if that's what you're saying, we'll leave you alone." So my agent messaged me over a couple of days later and was like, "Someone's just taken over Gillingham." Funnily enough, it's his first managerial job. He was Tony Pulis' number 2 for ages. He said, "You can come and train for 2 weeks." He's like, "How do you feel about it?" I was like, "Don't worry." He was like, "All right, how about you go and train?" And bearing in mind, I hadn't done nothing for 9 months. You go and train. If they say yes, it's meant to be. If they say no, we'll think of other avenues that we can kind of get you back on your feet outside of football. Went there on a Thursday. Went on a Thursday. Trained. Trained on a Friday. Signed on Saturday.
Nice.
Like literally, and then signed on a Saturday. Then they made me do 2 weeks of training, like not alone. I trained with a team, but then they made me do extra running like after to get myself fit because I need you up to scratch. First game, come on in like the 80th minute, score a header straight away to win the game, and that was a goal that kept them up in League One. It was mad. And then next season I had a good season, scored like quite a few goals, and then that's when I ended up going to Charlton.
And that was the beginning of the promotion story.
It's literally like it's funny because after I first went to Gillingham and they said no, I went and trained at Charlton for 3 weeks. I went from Gillingham to Charlton, but Charlton couldn't sign me because Red Star wouldn't give me my papers. And that's why I had to go to the FA and FIFA and go to court and Zurich and all these things.
Yeah.
Then fast forward a year later, signed for Gillingham, and I ended up moving to Charlton. The two teams that I couldn't go to in the beginning. That is weird. I ended up getting promoted with Charlton. And then after Charlton, I ended up going back to my boyhood club, which is Wickham. It's just like a full circle, and then I ended up getting promoted with Wickham. So Charlton had obviously dropped down from the Premier League over a period of time.
I mean, when you say Charlton, it's mean like when I sit here Charlton from our days. We're talking Premier League. Charlton.
Exactly. So like they had been
Ambrose.
Yule and all these lot. And Darren Bent and all these.
I still will never forget this. Real quick, Yule, was it Yule or was it Powell? I think it was Yule actually. He had the plank record. Everyone used to talk about like used to get to do the plank for ages. Everyone knew it in like the U team and stuff. I was just like trying to get up to that. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So obviously went from Gillingham to there, and then from Charlton not kind of being they were always in and around it, but they had been off it for years.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's anything to do with like me, like like it was the team.
Yeah.
But like, just lo and behold, when I go there, I'm part of it. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, and then history.
Flip side, and I'm a big believer in energy. Like, I'm not saying like, cause I did well when I was there. I didn't score any goals, but I played like I went in January to the end of the season. But like my passion was there. I worked hard. I played in all of the games, all the playoff games, final, like started everything. But then obviously I was part of that promotion after say 10 years of not having anything. Then I go to Wickham. Wickham had never been in the Championship. Hardly played. Manager begged me to sign. And obviously, like I said, personalities don't merge. And I'd known him from QPR. He was my reserve manager of QPR, so I'd known him like 15 years. Begged for me to sign. Don't really play, but then they get promoted. I'm a part of it. Do you get what I mean?
Part of the energy.
And I swear to you, like, it might sound like I'm not religious, but I'm a very big believer in energy. Charlton got promoted. They didn't keep me on. Obviously, now they've got a lot of money. They got relegated. Wickham got promoted. I left there, got relegated. I'm not saying it's anything to do with me. I'm a big believer in energy and how you treat people, especially when people bring I brought a lot, in my opinion, to both change rooms energetically in terms of
how people work together,
how cheering up the boys. The dancing, the singing, the vibes in the change room, getting people getting behind people. Same with Wickham, like I was on music.
Can't monetize that, can you?
You can't. Managers won't appreciate that. Like, in the change room at Wickham, you don't see the change room like it. Like it was like carnival before games. Most managers wouldn't allow that, but Gareth Ainsworth kind of let the players be as they are. So we'd be doing like flipping Nalinga before games, like before we're going out, and our song that we go out to was Sneak Bow, Touch a Button. Imagine that, every man like doing gun fingers as they're coming out.
That's true.
Like, that was the energy.
But it brings people together.
But that's what I brought to the change room. Like, if I'm not going to play because you don't like my style of play, then I'm still going to be the best version of myself, because I'm not going to let how I feel about the football affect how I am as a person.
That's commendable as well, bro.
But it took me a while. It took me a long time to get to that, because back in the day, I'd let you know if I was vexed.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, since I kind of got into like the spiritual realm and understanding the energy's real, and kind of seeing how life would treat me, where some things have gone really bad, but then off the back end of it, I'd always benefited and come off better off.
Yeah.
I've seen it throughout my life. I've said to my partner all the time, I'm like, not that I want the bad, but you have to go through the bad to get to the good, and it's always worked in my favour. Always, like I said, I didn't want Charlton to get relegated, didn't want Wickham to get relegated, but they did. I'm not saying I could have changed it, I'm just saying it's just strange things like that.
Yeah, being a part of something and then not being a part of something. Yeah, no, 100%. It kind of it makes you kind of conscious that like you just mentioned, the energy is a very real thing. Like how you present yourself, how you carry yourself, how you make people feel when they're around you. It is very important.
I always like to think now, probably more so in the last, say, 4 years, say kind of around from the Charlton times. I always like to think that every room I go into is a better place for having me in it than it would have been if I wasn't in it. I always like to think I leave a mark. I leave a mark, whether I brighten it up, I liven it up, or I leave you pondering with a question, like, I'll change your life in some way, shape or form because of my own experiences, how I look at things now.
Yeah.
So that's how I like to like go ahead. Like I always try and see the positives. Like now, I had a year out at the age of 30 with an injury that happened playing five-a-side when I shouldn't have been playing five-a-side. I could like kind of be depressed about it, but it's opened up other parts of myself, other aspects of myself, and it's kind of reignited my hunger. Because back in the day, people say, "Oh, 31's old," but then you got people like Benzema edging on 35, having his best season yet. So I'm like, I've got a lot more to give, especially because I look after myself very, very well.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, 100%. I can see, everyone can see that from like even just merely tapping into you as an individual. You can see from health, wealth, mindset, food, everything. It's commendable in that aspect, bro. There's a last main topic I wanted to touch on before we get close to wrapping this up. I want to talk about the challenges that you would recognise of life playing international football or being in that international football environment versus being in the club football environment. Like, what are some of the differences that you've noticed that are maybe good or bad?
It's interesting because I look at things very much deeper than most people will. Like a lot of people tend to give generic answers because they don't deep things the way that I do. And the way I see it is they're very similar, like international and club football, just because they're both magnified versions of society. So, say for example, club football, you have all the cliques that you have in society anyway. Like you'll go in, you'll have the older pros who kind of oversee everything, and you might have the lads, then you've got the black boys, and you've got a couple of white boys that kind of mingle with the black boys.
Shut up.
Shut up them, man. The cultured ones. So like there's cliques, but then there's also cliques when you go on international because of the fact that especially when you're not born, so every time me not being born in Antigua, naturally it don't matter who it is, you could be dark skin, mixed race, whatever, they'll call you English boy.
English boy.
Because of the cultural like lack of understanding. That's what a lot of managers have with black players in change rooms, where they don't understand the culture. So if a white boy goes, "Oh, F you," to the manager, and they have a little argument, it's like, he's passionate. Whereas if I kiss my teeth, it's like, what are you doing? That's rude. Like, you're a bad egg. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they don't understand the culture. That's me trying to be polite and not say F off. Like, me frustrated. Like, so it's similar where there's like, it's just a magnified version of society, where society, even in society, in the melanated community, we have cliques as well, but we don't know why we have cliques. And I touched on this when I was speaking to someone before, where I was like, we don't tend to have like a common goal. Like, we come together when someone makes a remark, but then we just want to go back to being vibes. Like, we're all about vibes. We're just all about energy. Like, we don't want to get into the drama. We'll kick up a fuss for 24, 48 hours, and it's just kind of like, we just want to go back to partying and stuff. The thing with international is that I love is they're not afraid to show their culture. You'll see it like African Cup of Nations. Them man are coming in with a speaker, dancing, like it's you got served. They're in a routine, like, and they're just about energy and vibes. Whereas when you do that stuff in England, that can get you labelled as a bag egg and get you chucked out the team. Point blank period. Point blank period. Like, the manager, they'd be like, "Nah, he ain't taking this seriously. Why is he not sat there before the game?" Like, No. My way of dealing with nerves is dancing, laughing, cracking jokes, bouncing around the place, so I'm not thinking about football. Because when I go on the pitch, it will just turn on. But you want me to sit there and think, when I get the ball, I'm going to dribble 2 man and score on top ins. Like, you want me to plan everything, like, and be like really aggressive, because that's how you was. I'm me. And being that kind of vibey person around the change room can get you like looked at completely different. Whereas when you go on international, that's all they want to do is vibes. That's the difference between the two. And for me, my best experiences in football are with the national team. Don't get me wrong, there's been dramas in the past where you might have fallouts with people, but it's just just feels right when I'm there. Like, just love the culture. I love going around the Caribbean, seeing the different cultures within the Caribbean. It just feels good. Do you know what I mean? It just feels right. You feel appreciated. If you're yourself, people don't really condemn you because we're all very much the same, where we all have big egos and all of this, whereas if you have an ego in the UK, like,
it's kind of like suppression of ego.
Yeah, like you have to kind of be a shadow of yourself, and that's the one thing. Like, I know, and I'm not upset about it, but I know I should have played a lot higher levels and achieved more than I already have, but I wasn't willing to sacrifice myself, and that's something that's why I'm not upset about the levels that I played. Or I could have played another 250 games if I would have just shut my mouth. But if I want to stick up for someone, or if you're speaking to me this way, I feel better about sticking up for myself and knowing that it was the right thing to do at the right time than being quiet and going, yes, I'm playing an extra 50 games, I don't really care.
Yeah, I hear where you're coming from. There's kind of that integrity.
Yeah, 100%.
Fight for what you actually believe in and who you actually are as a person.
100%.
Yeah, that's always a difficult, sticky one in the UK, because it's not even just football, as we know. It's like when you're in this first world countries, typically there are certain things and certain ways that you have to maneuver in and around.
It's funny because I was saying it earlier on that basically it all comes down to people trying to abuse their power to fearmonger you into their way. But the reality of the thing is, you can strip everything from me. You could take my house, any assets I've got, whatever I've got. But as long as I've got me, I'm always going to be good because I know what I'm capable of. Do you get what I'm saying? So like, you could take everything and put me out on the street. I'll find a way because that's just in me. Like I'm good. I have that confidence in myself. We all do. It's like when people say, "Oh, if you put me in the jungle, I'll come through with a lion mane." Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I know what I'm capable of, and no one can tell me what I can and can't do. You might be able to abuse your power and or slow down my process, but if I want to get there, I'll get there. That's how I see it.
Oh, bro. Right, let's just segue over before we wrap this up. I want to get you to kind of share a few words of wisdom, or some wisdom that you've acquired over the years, that for those next burgeoning young footballers coming up, who are looking to, who are either in this system, or like you mentioned, I know you mentioned earlier, potentially look abroad, that's one option. But yeah, just leave the people with some sense of words of wisdom for the youngsters or guys in the game.
It's an interesting one, because like, you can say so many things, and I said this before on a podcast I did a long time ago, where I might not have played every level, but I probably experienced more in football than I'd say 99% of footballers. I've experienced everything. I've played in multiple countries. I've played all over the Caribbean. I've been in America. I've been condemned by a club, not paid by a club.
Gone through all the emotions.
Had to not play football this is my third time, like basically almost 2.5 years out of football through non-footballing things. So like when I had the thing with Red Star, 9 months, where I've gone from playing at Red Star Belgrade, like playing Europa League, potentially qualifying for Champions League, to within 2 months being in a coffee shop, serving Janice coffee, and I don't know how to make it. Do you know what I mean? So I've experienced everything with a child on the way, no funds, having to go to court for that, and so I've experienced everything you can in football, everything you can. But I think there's a quote that I posted on my daily post page the other day, and it keeps sitting with me because it makes so much sense. And it was basically, your crown is there waiting for you when you're ready to wear it. So whatever you want to be the king of, whatever you want to be the best at, you just know you're already that. Like, it's just when you're ready to step up to it. Like we say, I want this, I need this. You don't need want or need anything, because you already are. It's just when you're ready to go and take it.
Yeah, I hear you.
Do you know what I mean? Want and need means that you're without it already. No. If you want to be a professional footballer, your actions will show you that. And you're going to pick up that crown and go, yeah, I'm here. If you want a big ass house with 8 bedrooms, you will find a way, and you'll get your crown and be like, I'm king of this yard. Like, it's there waiting for you. But it's just whether you're willing to do what it takes to go and take the crown.
Yeah, that leads on to something that I love to drop, and I'll leave this with the people as well, is if you don't sacrifice for your goals will be the sacrifice.
There you go.
And it's a nice little succinct way. I heard that from somebody else. His name's King Keto. He's like a motivational investor. But I know the importance, and I've had to learn this, like you mentioned earlier, sacrificing. And the times that you don't do it, you're able to sometimes look at it and be like, yeah, that was probably a reason why I didn't do it. And then not be as mad at yourself as to why you didn't get there. Just appreciate that is the common denominator, that is the bottom line, and sacrifice is necessary for progression. You know, so no, that's a heavy one to leave with the people, man. But yeah, I guess we've been talking for a little while, man, and giving them some sauce. But bro, man, it's blessed, man, saying that, man. It's love always. I'm gonna try and get you back on it, man, because we got a hell of a lot more. We didn't even touch on hardly any of it, guys. That's the thing, because we ain't had time to get on here properly. From the professional story, from like your career and everything, to the humbling of having to work in, I always say this to other people, everyone I feel like should have worked or work in an environment where they serve at some point, because the act of service and the willingness and the ability to do it, even if you don't want to, is something quite humbling, and it teaches you.
You go full circle. It's funny how words work. That's what a king does. A king works on behalf of the people. They work on behalf of himself.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's very true.
Good king serves the people.
Boy, well, on that note, we've got to get back to the service. But, nah, man, any last things that you want to leave with the people, man? Like what you're up to, anything?
No, I'm just here. Like, if you want to follow me on social media, then
I'll hit all the links.
Find the links. If anyone needs anyone to talk to, I know how important it is. And
I know you got the advice for the food as well, by the way. If you're looking to sort out your health genuinely, like, you know, you may be going through mental issues or should I say mental health issues, or if you're dealing with just anything bodily, physical, I know that you're the guy to go to that can give you some solutions.
100%.
So yeah, with no further ado, bro, love as always.
Thank you.
The one and only Josh Parker, guys. Follow, subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Peace and love.